we're synchronized too. Let's go. All right. More technical difficulties getting the podcast set up. Seems like every time. So that dongle thing that we were talking about before was not well, it is missing this time. They have a different one. So apparently somebody's stealing the dongle thing every time. And when I came in here, different headsets were unplugged from certain areas and mics weren't plugged in where they needed to be. So everything sounded terrible. So we were going to use different mics, but we ended up figuring out and fixing it. It's just a bitch, man.
The damn dongle stealers.
I know, man. The people always got to be stealing stuff. You didn't see any crazy accidents picking up the...
No, not today. I was a little worried, though, about it. I was thinking about it.
The windstorm might have got you. It got my fucking tree. Did you see that?
I saw it, like, the thumbnail on the way in. But, no, I mean, while I was driving, it was, like, super sunny. And then, obviously, like, the craziest-looking storm coming in.
Yeah.
And there were a few times the wind was blowing so much dust. It was, like, I got a warning on my phone. It was, like, zero visibility at times. Just... for 5 seconds and then completely calm after.
Yeah.
So it was wild.
It was crazy because we get windstorms in Spokane, but I don't feel like I was telling Blair this on the phone because I called him to go check on my tree and lo and behold, I was right. Half my tree fell over. But we usually get like long windstorms, like 40 miles an hour, maybe like 50 gusts, but they last kind of like all day. This windstorm was really weird and it kind of looked like, especially because I work in Coeur d'Alene, which is east of Spokane, and I was driving west into Spokane, and it looked like in Mad Max Fury Road when they drive into the dust storm. And I was like, this is crazy. It's orange and crazy looking.
The clouds looked insane. You could tell they were heavy.
Yeah.
They were ready to bring some damage in.
And it rained apparently, too. I missed that. Oh, yeah. It dumped hard.
It was the kind of rain where it would sprinkle for a couple seconds, and then you could see the wall of what just havoc coming towards you, and it was like flash flood level for 10 seconds. And then completely cut back to like drizzling. Yeah. And it's just like up and down and up and down. And the whole time, like Country Homes got backed up to the point where I was like in bumper to bumper. And I was like, come on, really? Like it's kind of bad, but it's not that bad. I had to slow down a few times just to make sure where it was like going crazy and I couldn't see. But other than that, it was fine.
It's just, I'm sure we probably have, but I don't remember experiencing a windstorm specifically that just comes and goes whoosh and then is like gone. Like it comes in for like a few minutes.
Yeah, this fast, I don't know. Not really like this. They're normally a full day kind of thing. But
yeah. So yeah, and when I was driving in, there's like a wow, I can't think of what like the names of them would be, but where they have the different dirt and gravel, those pits, and they have piles of them. Separated because they basically like deliver you gravel and dirt.
Just like
There's one on the side. Yeah, there's one on the side of I-90, and it was just blowing up dust in like a tornado, like a little mini twister thing. I was like, man, this is crazy looking and driving over. So that's when I called Blair, and I was like, dude, because I have this really wimpy bitch ass tree that has all these very like completely arched over branches on it that looks like anything would just blow it over. And so I asked one of my roommates to go check on it, and lo and behold, he sends me a video of basically half of the tree is just snapped off and landed in my yard. Luckily, didn't hit my shed, didn't hit a power line, didn't hit my fence. That's why I wasn't too worried about it.
Pretty much all you can ask for is anything damage-wise would suck to have to fix. You don't really have to fix anything. You just got to get it out of there. Just cut it up, and it'll be pretty easy.
The sketchiest part that I saw of it that I thought would be the part that ended up snapping off didn't look like it would be able to hit anything. It was too short. It wasn't at the right angle to hit my shed. It was the opposite direction of my fence. So I wasn't super worried about it causing damage, but I wanted to know. So now I got to get a chainsaw and cut up this fucking tree in my backyard and get rid of that. So
that's kind of sick, though.
It's fun. Yeah, chainsaws are sick.
Chainsaws are dope.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I've ever actually used a chainsaw, but chainsaw and like
really chainsaws are dope.
But jackhammers, I think in the same vein, where it's just something I'm not going to use often. But when I use a jackhammer, I'm like, this is manly. But then after like 15 seconds, you're like, this actually sucks really bad.
Jackhammers make you feel fucked up after you use them because your whole body's just buzzing after you use it.
Pushing against it the whole time. You have to push so hard against it. It's like a workout. And then after your whole body's like vibrating, then it feels so weird. Your arms are like jelly because you had to just force your weight into it. But
have you used one of the flat ground slapper thingies? Have you seen one of those? It's
like a compactor.
Is that what it's called? Probably. But yeah, it's got maybe like a 2x2 square foot face.
Yeah,
and it just slaps the ground together. When I pack it down.
When I did stuff over the summers with my dad, like landscaping and construction, I used a lot of that stuff. So I've done plenty of like paver patios where you set your base gravel and your sand, and then you got to compact over it a few times at least, and then probably another time over the top with another layer of gravel over their top. But yeah, those are weird. They're actually, it's like easy work. It does everything for you. You just let it kind of do its thing, and it takes itself, and you can just guide it as it goes.
Those things look funny. I love watching
They're weird.
those things.
They're really weird.
They remind me of a gonk droid, you know, which droid that is? The trash can droid. I don't know why, because it doesn't particularly look like one. Maybe just the squareness of it and the way it moves and just bounces. I like it. It's fun.
But I don't get to use that kind of stuff often, so if I do, it's kind of fun.
Okay, so I don't know what exactly made me think of this. Maybe just talking about Star Wars, but one of the shows that Cody and I have been trying to watch and talk about is Rings of Power season 2.
Yeah.
And while I was at work today, one of our friends who
I think it was Matt.
Was it Matt? Yeah. So. Matt sends us a Instagram post of them planning to cancel Rings of Power, most likely.
Probably just a very quick rumor,
probably,
if anything.
Probably, considering it's the most expensive show of all time, $1 billion.
That's
Amazon,
what makes me
blah,
think
blah, blah.
maybe not. But and people, that would be a headline people would love to put out just to be like get 100%. Everyone riled up. So take it with a grain of salt, but you never know.
So I mean, we'll see, but that does not motivate me to want to watch season 2 because I don't want to get invested in a story that's just going to cut the fuck off.
I think that's what sucks is anything that ends up getting canceled so early in is I'm like, well, it's an unfinished story. I don't know if I even want to get invested anymore.
No.
It's like, it's not that season 1 was bad. I still enjoyed some of the stuff from season 1, but it wasn't enough to really pull me clearly into season 2 as much. And based off this, where at least for me, I just don't have any motivation to want to watch it right now. And I don't know if that's because of the show or if it's me just being pessimistic about it. But this kind of stuff comes up, and then I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah, now it's making it a lot more tough. Yeah, I think I've just been watching other things. I've just been lazy with it because I want to watch it. And did you read the post that he sent, or did you just see the headline of it?
Yeah, I like the caption and stuff. I just read through.
The caption says that this season is being more well received by critics and audience. I believe they're saying it's a bit more like Lord of the Rings. They fixed a couple of other things they said, so it kind of sucks. They made it better. They're taking the feedback of the audience, and then they just lost all the good graces with the first season.
Yeah, and I can't again. It's like I don't want to say too much considering I haven't watched season 2, so I can't.
Yeah, me neither.
I can't attest to anything that's in it, but I'm sure at some point it is something I'll watch because you and me both we're interested enough in Lord of the Rings that I'll probably watch it just to see what it is. Mm-hmm. It is something cool to watch to some extent, but if it doesn't keep going, then that's a bummer.
Speaking of Lord of the Rings, we kind of watched Two Towers.
Yeah, we did kind of. It was a very halfway watching, but I've seen that so many times to know. And you,
I know what's going on.
We know everything. I don't even need to watch. I can just hear the audio and know what's happening on the screen. Mm-hmm. So, but we did. We're getting set up for our fucking crazy ass campaign that we're doing for D&D because Reed's now into the D&D with us.
I'm joining the D&D world, and I'm very nervous about it because our first session was 8 hours. I didn't know that.
We didn't do anything.
We painted stuff and we talked and we made our characters, and I was like, oh no, this is more of an investment than I thought it was. I was telling Sydney, I was like, oh no, Sydney, I'm scared. I didn't realize. I mean, Tanner said that he wants to do it at least 2 times a month, but the goal will be to try and do it every week.
If we could.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know he just sent us the message.
That won't happen.
I know.
That will not
I know. That's just things happen.
We'll try our best, but that's the goal.
Yeah, but I know that Tanner already said he sent that message where he's like, I want to get our sessions down to 3 or 4 hour sessions and blah, blah, blah and stuff. And that'll probably still be hard, but I'm like, oh, this is way more than I thought it was. Just building your character and the directions and the details and the different options and ways that you can go. I'm like, holy fuck. I'm just going to click things and hope that things work out when I get there because I cannot read this and do all this research.
Your best bet was so this is for me, we just finally finished what I would say is my first official campaign.
So you kind of did a different one before?
Yes, we did an entirely separate, completely different characters. We're not even we're doing new characters for this campaign. So
no. I mean that you had done one before the last one that you did.
Oh no. Oh. Well, okay, we tried a session 0, thinking we could do it. You need a good DM who knows what he's doing to really run things.
That's always been the problem.
So we finally have done enough, and Sewell's done it, and Tanner got to watch Sewell do it. So now we all have an idea of how things should run in our heads. And again, it's just up to you to make it what it is. So if things are going slow and we're people are getting kind of drained out, we can pick it up or do whatever we want. That's why I chose like I'm a bard, and it's gonna be sick.
You're gonna be rocking it. Like I said, you're gonna be the Mad Max Fury Road guitar guy. While everybody's just getting nuked.
It's fully about investing time into like. I was watching a video where it's less about like so many people think they need to be a good voice actor to commit to the part to do stuff, but it's like if you just actually try to think like your character is, like you make a character and you try to actually role play said character, things can naturally flow if you're in it, if you're in that mode. And it is playing a character though, I think is the best way. It's literally adult imagination still. It's the only reason we would try to do it is it's really fun, and believe it or not, it's like hard when you sit there and you're like, I don't know how to do this. I'm not like a kid anymore, and I can't just think of things as easy as I used to and get like just drop into a world that's not in front of me and be able to like commit to it and believe it. But you'll be a good addition just because you understand, I think, at least committing to the bit kind of thing. It's not a bit, but like it is what it is. Yeah, kinda.
It's a performance.
And just going all in. Like I played a rogue the last one, and I was just too quiet. But my guy kind of was quiet. That was like the point. I was sneaky, stealthy guy. This time it's like I'm the reverse. I am not gonna really do much combat at all. I'm just gonna be literally like dancing, doing jigs in the background.
You're gonna be a menace,
pumping people up, and I'm stoked because all my stuff I think I get to do in the game will be not around me trying to figure out, oh, go here, shoot two guys once or twice. It's like I got to be super creative in how I think of solutions to problems, which makes it fun.
It's going to be real weird for me because like I could play Baldur's Gate because there's like buttons and action buttons and like things. There's things that you could do and that you could see. Going like pure imagination, and I just have like a little 3D printed little guy basically and some other 3D printed little guys, and like I just got to figure it out from there. That's going to be tougher for me. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'll ease into it quickly, but like
it'll be the hardest for you considering we've all at least played. There'll be a definite learning curve, but I mean, like you're saying too, the Baldur's Gate as a game does everything we're doing and puts all of it on a screen for you to see, which is just so helpful. When I finally have understood, like you read the rules, and if you don't know what's happening, it's hard to be like, what's an action? What's a bonus action? What's a reaction? How do I know when to do this? How does someone know when to ask me to do all these? Like, there's so many what ifs, or how does that work? And Baldur's Gate as a game at least lets you understand.
It's a game.
It's a full game. Like, passive checks are happening when you walk around in real time. You'll see like little dials or like things popping up around your character being like failed check, pass check in real time, because it's like a perception check is happening in the game while you walked around this room, meaning something's hidden that you need to find. Not every character might pass it. All your characters might fail it. You might not know where it is. But that
Gate is wild.
And that's just happening in the background, let alone you go into a dialogue conversation, and the amount of gameplay that's happening that isn't combat and is just you talking your way through stuff, it's like a easy 50-50. So
that's wild.
We do need to get, I think this campaign will help with all of us, is we're going to do better hopefully with talking. Like, we don't need to just kill everyone. That shouldn't be the way things happen every time, because it actually gets kind of boring pretty quick. So it'll be nice to have instances and like events that are happening where it's just dialogue and we have to figure out how to talk our way out and be smart about it. Try to.
Man,
it's weird.
I'm gonna be a dumbass. Stoic ass ginger dwarf.
We have to be so into it where we can't like. We've done things where we go in and out of character and we talk to each other, and it's like we need to just stay in character when we're playing, and that's the key. Is like Tanner's listening as the DM to what we are saying when we're deliberating, and he's the guy driving the ship, so he can do whatever he wants, and we have to play against him.
God,
yeah, we have to like play against him, and
what a little bitch.
There's kind of like we can talk together as a group, not talking to him, and get a plan devised between us with things that we want to do. And if he doesn't know what we're going to do, there's a good chance we have a good way of going around things. Like, it's fun. It's weird, but it's like it's just a fully made up thing that we can do whatever we want with. But it's fun, and I'm stoked that we're starting up a new one.
Yeah.
And we're very invested.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, I wrote my backstory. I'd use Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I did. But I put in all the points. I just wanted Chat GPT to like write it nicely.
Makes it easy.
So it'd be fun to read, because I do not have writing talent whatsoever. I cannot write something for myself. I suck ass at writing.
The last time I wrote something,
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah, I have zero writing talent. So I got my main points that I all wanted in there, and then it wrote me one, and it's like 5 paragraphs.
Yeah,
small paragraphs. Yeah, I'm not getting my creative juices flowing as much as I probably should with writing it and everything, but I don't know.
It's
I think
the
it's cooler.
baseline.
It's more fun. Yeah,
You don't need to get crazy at the start. For you, the simpler the better. Your backstory, you can go kind of as ham as you want, just because that's up to you. But yeah, I mean, at the start, it'll just be us taking it easy and one thing at a time. And I'm stoked. I've already been thinking of stuff I'm gonna do. It's like It's like I want to talk about things ideas that I have for like my bard that I'm even gonna do. This is easily the most nerdy type of thing. D&D to me is so not nerdy anymore. It's very well accepted amongst so many groups, but like when I go in depth,
like it's nerdy, and I'm doing it.
When I get in depth or we start talking to like really tough about this stuff, the words and things, it'll just be like gibberish to some, but
probably it will be gibberish to
me. I'm stoked. Like I'm bringing my drum pad with my drumsticks.
Oh no!
Like I'm gonna go all out with that. I'm gonna have songs on my phone ready. Like I'll probably have a Spotify playlist just for D&D sessions where I'm using certain songs and things like.
Holy shit!
Because instead of it's like I play an uplifting song. It's like saying that's lame. If I freaking queue up a sick song and I start playing it and then I'm going along with it, is way better.
It's nice
10 times better.
It's nice when you could actually do it. If I played a part and I had to like play my banjo or whatever that thing's called, I wouldn't be able to play it.
It'd be cool if I could somehow incorporate a real drum kit, but no and never.
No.
And that's why I'll just have my drum pad because it's literally just the idea, and having it there though is cool. I legit think me holding drumsticks and having drumsticks in front of me, I'll ease into the part more. I'm supposed to be like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm pumped.
Tanner's also a little bitch for not coming on the podcast. Fuck you, Tanner. Just because you have to work. Terrible excuse. Should have asked Ian. I don't know. I forgot. Ian said he wanted to. I just forgot. Yeah, Ian, next time. We wanted to have our first guest because like I said, I want to have guests on here and have other people to come in and talk and just hang out because that's what this is. I don't know. I'm kind of worried now. I might only be able to have 2 mics work.
Yeah, we can. 2 is our maximum.
You guys are going to have to share.
But it'll be good if we do our first session on Friday and then someone can come in and talk just because we're going to have a way better, like we'll have done a full in-game thing.
Yeah.
And we can talk about what's going on and what happened to anyone who actually wants to hear that. But that's where it's like, that's the good stuff. When we've actually done things and you have your character decided and have tried to be in the character and things and we play, everything changes pretty fast. Like our campaign had its ups and downs, but like we finished on such a strong note that I think everyone's super ready to go into the next one.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get it going.
We're pumped.
I'm nervous. Like I said.
Nah.
Nervous, but not nervous. It's just fear of the unknown. It's not like I'm going to be in there and be like, oh God, I don't know what to do. It's more just like, I don't know what's happening.
If anything,
maybe nerves isn't the right
it's
word.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
It's an intimidating environment for those of us who have all played already and you're the complete newcomer. But if anything, well, I mean, it's why we invite, it's like, we're all just friends playing and nobody,
just dudes
unless Tanner in DM mode changes and if you mess up, he's like, all right, I don't know if Reed can play anymore. Like I don't know. I don't know if he's cutting it.
I'd be like, all right.
He's just gonna go full diva mode in DM. I doubt that happens.
I'd be surprised. Don't get too excited, Tanner. Don't boot me. Don't get your god powers all.
I don't think there's any way, unless you just don't show. That's the only way anyone can get kicked out is if you just are withholding us from playing. Then that's the only way.
Yeah, that makes it a little tough.
And I don't know if it connects. I should rewatch it. I saw the Dungeons and Dragons movie when it came out. Did you see that too?
I did. The movie's good.
I can't remember anything hardly that happens in it, but that's why
because not much happens in it. It's just a comedy and it's fun action.
It's just
and
like
it looks good.
Adventure that happens.
Yeah.
And now that I've played more, I should go back and rewatch it because I remember they mentioned stuff and some of the things that happened were pretty spot on. Like after having played. They have like the paladin in the movie. It's like super overpowered.
That's what I was gonna bring.
And then realizing Tanner's paladin, the whole campaign was like insanely overpowered.
Paladins are just strong as fuck.
Their move sets are crazy good, and he can do so many things. So I have to watch that at some point.
That's good. I'd be down to talk about that movie because I mean I remember what I need to from that movie because it was.
Just remember Chris Pine's in it,
and Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah,
as the barbarian or whatever the fuck she is.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody else.
The girl from It, one of the kids from It, she was the druid.
Oh yes, yeah.
I don't know why I remember that one, but
I don't know what her name was.
I don't know. Yeah,
the action in that movie was actually cool, and that's what I remember about it. And like, and the comedy was fun.
I think I just remember it being like, this could be so bad, and it isn't. So
what is Chris Pine? Is he like a bard?
Yeah, I think he's a bard.
Is he?
I think so.
That's a good bard.
I have to rewatch it. It's been a while, and I know more about the inner workings of the game to probably have a better look at it.
I think I saw that movie twice. I think I saw
you're
it.
Crazy.
I think I saw it with a friend, and then I think I saw it with my parents because they wanted to go again with my parents. And
I
my
had
sister.
Movie Pass, I think, at the time. That's why I would have saw it.
Yeah.
So, because I don't know if I'd actually pay to go out of my way to see that unless I had Movie Pass. There's only certain movies that I go to with Movie Pass, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Others I don't.
So apparently, I'm bringing this up because I have not used my Movie Pass in like a few weeks. I've been watching all my stuff at home. There's been a lot to catch up on though. But Wild Robot, you heard about this movie? Seen the trailers?
Is that an animated movie?
Yeah, it's a new DreamWorks movie that just came out this past weekend.
I saw commercials for it.
It's one of those sneaky ones, man. DreamWorks is like.
Is it out?
It's out.
Oh.
It's been out since I think last Friday.
Is it on streaming or like?
No, it's a
AMC.
Oh, okay. We should watch a movie and then come and do a podcast.
No, that's not going to happen.
That would be sick.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, fuck me then.
No, I've thought about that where I'm like,
yeah,
it's so simple for us to literally watch a movie before coming into this, and we could talk directly about said movie.
We can walk a few hundred feet and get up to the movie the AMC that we have here because the library's attached to the mall.
I think it's on. No, it's one floor up. If we wanted to buy tickets, but we're like, it's so close.
Yeah, it's one floor up. But I need to use my Movie Pass, and apparently DreamWorks can be like, because like Shrek. Actually, I think the
DreamWorks is good stuff. Yeah,
but they have ass stuff. I can't think of anything on top of my head probably because it's not memorable. But DreamWorks can be so hit or miss.
It's like not all the Shreks are good.
The first three are good, and then they kind of kept going. Now they have Shrek 5 coming out. We'll see what happens.
Saw that. Interested, but scared.
Wild Robot apparently is one of those sleeper like bangers.
I could see that.
People are loving it.
Looks like an original idea. I like that it's
very original.
Nothing. I didn't know anything about it, which was good. I'm like, I like that.
It is a robot landing in the wilderness and becomes friends with animals. That's what the movie is.
All right.
But I want to watch it. I won't say anything else in case you watch it because it's actually has like really deep like. It's a very adult kids movie. It's one of those kind of things, Pixar-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was really surprised. So now I got to put Wild Robot on my fucking list. But I thought the trailers and everything about that when I saw it, I thought they looked horrible. I'm like, I don't give a shit about this. But horrible is a little dramatic. But
or
like,
just
I was
not
like,
for you, maybe.
Not even not for me. Like I didn't think it looked good. Like I didn't think it was going to do well. But word of mouth does amazing things because people are really enjoying it, and it has crazy reviews. It's got like a 97 or 98.
Oh really? I really
like that right now.
I haven't looked at anything on it, so I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, at least the animation looked good. I legit have only seen commercials on TV, like a passing glance type thing. So I was like, oh.
Also,
probably won't see that, but
more animated kid stuff. Apparently, I need to see Transformers 1 too. It's not on the level of Wild Robot reviews wise. It doesn't seem like, but people are really liking that. And I'm like, oh, I got to go see all these animated kids.
That one actually did look kind of cool too.
I thought that one looked good. The first trailer was really dumb, but then they started showing because the first trailer was just them bickering back and forth as like buddy cop movie, in like some jail cell or something, and. That was like the whole trailer. And then second trailer comes out. They show that they like get Transformer powers. And then they show action scenes. I'm like, oh, these action scenes look sick. So I want to go just for that.
The problem with me is I want to see some of these movies. Yet if they're only coming out in theaters, I'm going to be honest, it's hard for me to be like, I'm totally going to go buy a ticket to see a kid's movie. More than likely by myself at times because schedules don't line up very easily. So it's always like if I'm going to go to a movie, I might have to count on it being by myself or it'll just be too hard to find someone, but especially for a kid's movie, I'm like, I'll go find something else. But that's what sucks is I end up missing out on what I think are still really good movies. Yeah. I just don't watch them, and I have to be in such a good mood or the specific mood to watch like something. It's like I want to watch Inside Out too, But I'm also not gonna.
That one should be on Disney Plus.
I think that's
soon. It might already be.
I think it should be. But another one where I'm like, I have to be in a mood. I know that's like something I'm gonna watch it and be like drained after.
It's a little draining
and need like a little bit of time to recoup.
Yeah. It's not too bad, but yeah, it's the Pixar movies can be really draining. Just watching the intro of Up.
For me, certain things can be draining where it's like, I don't know. I can sit there and depending on the movie or the style or whatever it is, some stuff just hits so hard where I'm like, like just crying like the whole movie, and I'm
just this guy by yourself in the movie theater just bawling. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
The worst is when it's always keeping the glasses on for as long as I can, and if I have to take them off, I'm like, damn it.
I don't gotta do that
because it's such a obvious like someone's gonna look and be like, oh, nice,
what a little bitch.
And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I can't help it. But every time with those movies or like anything military, oh gosh, I'll always
dogs.
Dogs
fuck me
this
up.
I feel like it's gonna make you sound like an asshole, but dog stuff isn't big. Like animal stuff does not get me like certain things.
You're savage.
I know. I feel like I can already hear people being like, "Oh, you hate animals, all animals. You are probably like
anti-PETA."
Yeah, you're just. It's
Opposite
like
of
I
PETA.
just don't have as much of a connection with animals as I do with humans. I definitely have much more of a pull with watching a human die than a dog die. It is still sad, but when a whole movie goes for the dog's heartstring pull type thing, I'll cry, but it doesn't feel warranted because I'm like, well, yeah, I'd be crying if my dog died too.
It bothers me enough to where I'm annoyed when they have dog animal things in movies and video games. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Don't make me kill a dog in a video game.
Yeah.
Don't make me do this shit.
When
I don't like it.
When they bring in the dog and it becomes too like if it has screen time, you're like, this is bad because clearly the only reason they're on screen is to pull them away at the end and be like, oh, you missed the dog now, and you're right. You see the dog come up. I'm like, I don't know.
Get this shit out.
I'm already dreading the 5-minute scene of me having to like get my emotions ready to push through and have to feel things.
It's the ones where you don't know that there's going to be some animal related stuff. Because like if you go in, these ones still fuck you up. But like a movie like Marley and Me, you know what that movie is. You know what's going to happen. But when you go into a movie and then it's like halfway through and they introduce a dog and you're like, this dog's going to get fucking smoked. Yeah. It's going to do something heroic and it's just going to get smoked for no reason. Like I thought they were going to do that in John Wick 4, but no, the dogs are just badass.
No, see again.
Was it 3 or 4?
John Wick pulled off. You only got to deal with 3. The very first like moment of the whole series is like God, I forgot about the first moment. It's like the whole series kicks off with they killed the dog. But then from then on, I think they were like, all right, we can never kill a dog again. We got that out of the way.
Dude, that's funny because you didn't even understand what I was saying, and I didn't even pick it up either because I was talking about Halle Berry with the German Shepherds in the third movie.
I was thinking that at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up. I totally forgot about the beginning of the whole fucking series.
It's kind of true, though. Like, they kill the dog.
Get it right off the bat.
And then they bring in dogs almost as adversaries to be like, we're not going to do that, and they're actually going to help kill.
I thought that they were going to kill the German Shepherd somehow, and they're like, dude, you already did.
It's a good thing they did it.
Dirty fucks.
I think that's why they did. And they're like, nah, we've done one too many already. It's the first one hurts enough.
It's just bullshit. I want to talk about my movie because my movie's pretty funny. Did I tell you about it, Uglies?
You mentioned it at the Sewell's a little bit.
Yeah.
It's based off the book, right?
Yep. So Uglies is a book that, were you assigned to read that in middle school? Do you even remember?
Yes, but it's definitely on the cusp of when I actually just stopped reading the books that we were given for assignments.
I think Uglies is the only one that I ever did read.
That's what's yeah. So
it's very random.
For whatever reason, I just wasn't like, I didn't care enough.
There's hoverboards in it, and I think I read that in the beginning, and then I was like, okay, I'm into this.
Maybe
now,
I do remember that.
So sick.
I might remember just that to be a pull of like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Well, I might jog your memory a little bit by talking about it then. So, Uglies is a book series. Don't remember who it's written by, but there's 4 books. It's really weird the kind of timeline of this because after I ended up getting Letterboxd, I've been checking it, a few times a week. I'd still want to get on there more.
It helps though. It does. It gives a good idea of things to watch, right?
Mind blowing with how it happened with Uglies because like I said before, Uglies is probably the only like book that I read that like assigned reading when I was in school and I actually read it for some reason because of the hoverboard coming in. That's literally it. 14-year-old read
sick.
Brain. Yeah, hoverboards are sick, and they're pretty sick in the movie. Some people think they're a little crazy, but I read that, and like last year, maybe not even a year ago, I got really like I started getting kind of excited. Like I started thinking about that book again, and I was like, I want to go back and listen to these and kind of do the whole series because I know that it kind of went further. I know that there were several books. I thought there was only 3. Found out there was 4. There were 4. So I get them on Audible and I listen to all of them in like a couple weeks probably.
Oh dang.
Yeah, because I think I was doing a lot of Uber and Lyft at that time, so I was just listening to them. And so I busted them out. I'm like, these are cool. Not as cool as I thought it was in middle school, but still pretty dope. And it gets just kind
Nothing is.
They have a really weird terminology in the way that they speak because it's supposed to be like dystopian, different kind of society in the future, blah blah blah. So they end everything with Lee. So they say like Tally. They just say the main character's name is Tally, so it already has an E in there. But like when she goes to like the pretty town, I'll explain this later. But they call her like Tally Law, and they call them Bubbly, and it's hard to explain without reading it in the context, but they just add ly onto a lot of words, and it's very annoying. And I hated listening to it on Audible. It was very annoying. But what Uglies is basically about. Well, I guess I got to kind of finish what I was saying here because so I listened to all those books on Audible, then literally. So I think this movie came out probably a week and a half ago. A couple days, maybe a day before that, I was like, it would be cool. I'd like to see Uglies made as a movie. The next day, I go onto Letterboxd and I see that there's an Uglies movie on Netflix that just came out. I was like, what the fuck? That is so weird. And I immediately go to the reviews. Everybody hates it. It's like half terrible. Star, 1 star. Netflix should have never made this god awful piece of shit. All these things, and I was like,
fuck you, Netflix.
Yeah, and I was like. I was like, all right, fuck you guys. Sydney and I are gonna watch this. So I told Sydney, I told her that whole story. And I was like, we're gonna watch this movie tonight. Watch the whole movie. It's not very good. Not nearly as bad as I think people are making it out to be. Like the half a star. I gave it I think I gave it a 3-star still or 2 stars. I don't remember if you can even do half on Letterboxd. But
if you see that going into it, when people are like worst movie ever, it can kind of pander the expectations nicely to be like, and I think, all right, maybe if this is the worst thing ever, I'm actually going to give this more credit than it's worth at times.
Definitely, and I feel I probably fell into that.
Yeah. But that's not. Yeah, that's
when your expectations are low and they exceed them. It's like you always have a good taste in your mouth with it, even though it can still be like a 1 or 2 star movie.
Yeah.
But what the movie and the series is basically about is it's a dystopian future. I don't remember how far in the future it's supposed to be. Several hundred years, I think.
No idea.
But basically, society has moved on from all horrible things. In the books, what they do is like some guy sabotages oil and basically makes. I don't remember what he does. Like he makes some insects or like I don't know. He does something to where he makes oil irrelevant, and it makes things that use oil automatically explode. So apparently in the book series and everything, they don't do that in the movie. In the movie, they make these things called white lotuses that apparently are like it's a flower that's a infinitely renewable resource. At least that's what they say.
Is that what the HBO show's about?
What is there a white?
Oh,
I have heard about that.
No,
it's good, but
it's not.
No, I know it's not, but I have heard of that. I forgot what you were talking about at first. But they have these white lotuses in the movie, and they're like a renewable resource. Like I said in the books, they make the oil explode, whatever, blah blah blah. We're like in perfect society now. So they have there's nothing goes to waste. Everything gets reused perfectly. Everything's all in balance. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's not perfect.
Oh,
big twist.
No
it's
way.
Crazy.
No,
yeah, it's really not perfect.
No way.
In fact, it's pretty fucked up.
No.
So
Dang it, dude.
You're born as a normal person, as an ugly, quote unquote. And when you turn on your 16th birthday, they don't explain why exactly that you're 16. Maybe the surgery doesn't work well with children under that age or some shit. But when you turn 16, you get to be made into a quote unquote pretty. And then you get to go over to Pretty Town. There's literally Ugly Town and Pretty Town. And Ugly Town's like all gray and kind of shitty looking. And Pretty Town is colorful, like looks like Hong Kong. It's got all these crazy like fireworks, and all the pretties do is party all the time. And so and you live just across the river from it. So that's what happens on your 16th birthday. You get to go over and be made pretty, and then you get to party, and you get to do all these sweet, fun things.
Is quinceañera, is that when you turn 15?
It's 13 or 15. I don't remember.
I don't know why I thought of that. I'm just thinking that's the first word that came to my mind.
I think it's 15.
Instead of your like coming to age moment where you're like, all your family's there, and they're like, this is so fun, but guess what? You're fucking ugly.
Yeah. Well, no, but you get to be made pretty, so it's exciting.
Well,
you finally get to be pretty. You finally get to.
Wait, so there's uglies and pretties. when you turn 16, you get to be made pretty.
Yep.
How are there uglies? Is there people who just stay
People are
ugly?
still born normal.
Do they stay ugly and they don't get made pretty?
No, it's just anybody who's 16 or younger is still an ugly.
It's
surgery
just literally the age. It's
an
everyone
age
who's younger is an ugly. Everyone who's older is a pretty.
Yeah, everyone 16 and older is a pretty.
Gotcha.
So just when you turn 16, you get made into a pretty.
I was thinking there's like a divergence point where they're like a picking, and they're like, you get to be pretty. Sorry, you're you're ugly.
That's one thing that's kind of different and a little bit unique about it, because it's not a rich versus a poor. It's like, I don't know, socialist or communist society. So it's just everybody just gets made pretty when they turn 16. So that is kind of interesting. It's not like a rich and poor dystopian kind of thing.
Mindset.
Yeah, it's and that's kind of where it leads to. The first big mistake that they make with this movie, which I feel like they always do in these types of things, the uglies are not ugly. They're all very good-looking people. They have nothing wrong with them. And all they do when they get made pretty is they get like golden contacts and like gold hair, and like they look a lot like Pan Am people, or not Pan Am, but the Capital people in Hunger Games.
Did you take Spanish in high school?
No, I took German.
Dang it! So you don't. Shout out Dame Chocolate, where
What
the main
fuck
character, she's like, it's a soap opera, and they make her ugly, and then there's a midpoint where she's pretty. You can tell the entire time it's just her with like a giant nose prosthetic put on her, and you're like, she's gonna be made to look way prettier.
That's the
at
thing.
some point. It's so obvious.
That's the thing, is they put the tiniest prosthetic on. I think he's an Outer Banks guy. I don't know his name.
Never watched that either.
Okay, but he's a really good looking dude. They put his name in the book. He's supposed to have a fucked up nose, and so the uglies nickname each other by their biggest faults. The Tally, the main character, is called Squints because she has really squinty eyes, and the Paris, her like man lover friend, who he's supposed to have a fucked up nose. They put like the tiniest prosthetic on there. He does not look different. Tally like has a cut on her hand. That's it. And it's by she's acted by, what's her name? Joey. That lady's like had her pants off and was putting her pants on. I don't know what was going on there. But her name's Joey. What is her name? Joey something, but she's been in a whole bunch of things. What's she doing now? I don't want to look. I don't want to look. Remember, guys, we're at the public library, so like if there's a giant window where everybody can see us and we can see them. So the people are always doing some wild shit outside the window.
She's getting real comfy. I can tell you that.
She's getting comfy. But yeah, that's like the biggest thing that they do right off the bat. The ugly people are not ugly, but basically what happens is, I'm not going to give the whole rundown synopsis of the movie, but what happens is that there's another place outside of the city called the Smoke. I'm going to spoil things here, so I just want to say that up front. We always do that, but I still want to give a heads up.
We've never spoiled anything on here, so this is our first time
This
doing
is a spoiler-free podcast every episode.
Every single one.
So what ends up happening is that there is something called the Smoke, and that's a group of uglies who have escaped before. Actually, I think, yeah, they're all uglies. They escape and go live out in the smoke out in the real world. And Tally ends up meeting somebody who like takes her out there, and then she ends up knowing them, then so she has like an attachment to them. So the people in Pretty Town, they know that she has an attachment. So now when she turns 16, they won't let her get the surgery, so they have to send her out there to sabotage them. Blah blah blah. There's a whole different division of pretties called the Specials. So like I said, the book names are Uglies, Pretties, Specials, and then Extras.
I don't want to be a special.
No, dude, the Specials are dope. Because the Specials are genetically modified superhumans. So they're special. Yeah, that's why they're called.
It's going to be everyone who has like autism.
No, not quite. They're not. No, quite the opposite actually.
But like they're all the people who might have one little social quirk, but they're super smart. In other ways.
Yeah, exactly. So they're called the Specials, and that's like the government's like police force of this universe. So they take her in and they make her have to like sabotage the Smoke. And yeah, they have like heightened eyesight, heightened hearing. They're faster, they're stronger, and I always think that shit's dope when you.
It's like a Witcher.
Yeah.
Everything relates back to the Witcher for me right now.
Goddamn right. It's because it's dope. But they go there and she ends up having to sabotage the Smoke. And the problem with these, the movie's only an hour and a half. The runtime is it could be slightly less than an hour and 30 minutes because the length of the movie on Netflix, it says it's like an hour and 42. But Netflix has so much like end credits and bullshit at the end.
Here's the million people who worked on this, and I don't know how we're going to give any of them money for it.
Yeah, everyone hates this. So they have the. It's probably less than an hour and a half, and that's always the problem.
Jeez.
Actually, it can kind of go either way, but some of the biggest problems usually with these is that they try to put a book into a movie. And especially if you make a movie this short, it is very hard to get across the point and develop the characters and get the story smashed into a movie. This book's not super long or anything, but they clearly leave out so much stuff. The book is it's an inter monologue. Okay. So you see everything through Tally, the whole book series. So you get that thing where like she thinks about stuff and she describes stuff and she breaks down things in her mind in the book. They don't do that like at all. So you don't get so many details about characters and things that are happening and how things looked and how people act at all. And that stuff always sucks because it gets rid of so much character building and world building that you're going to get from that stuff. That's just a typical book to movie adaptation thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can be a good thing where you condense it down a little bit. It just kind of depends on the creators and if they adapt it well.
Yeah, it's just like that's why it's an adaptation.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Exactly.
You're adapting a book to a movie, and that's the only way to do it. You'll never get a full recreation. You have to adapt it.
Yeah.
So there's things that have to come and go, but the best ones are the ones that understand the most important things that need to be put on and conveyed on screen, and the other things that can get pulled. Sure, it might. If you had it, it would help, but if you got rid of it, does it take away? Is like the better question.
Yeah. So that's an issue with it, but I think that's an issue with most of those kinds of things. And most of the time, I'm not the person who's read the book, so it is kind of weird being in this seat, and watching everything. But what ends up happening, basically, long story short, the big spoiler of the movie is that when you get made into a pretty, you get a lesions put in your brain. So like you're controlled, you're made dumb, you're a controlled society, you don't have any freedom or free will and all this stuff, and you're just locked into partying in the city and being a really, really pretty and happy, healthy life, which doesn't sound too bad. It's not bad.
But it's a form of torture.
Right. It's
not
right.
real freedom.
Yeah. So that's what the movie's about, and that's about the
If I got to party every fucking day, that would be so sick.
And you don't get sick. There's no diseases. You're perfect. You're all genetically enhanced. So there's no hangovers.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
I'll
Everybody's hot as fuck.
Yeah,
you're dumbed down. So you don't. There's no anxiety. There's no. You don't have any feelings like that. But also you don't have like good feelings.
And everyone's just hot as fuck.
Yeah, hot as fuck. But yeah, so that's what the movie is, and they end up one of the big things. Her little boy lover guy, they make Paris. They make him into because he's not like a big character in the books really. He becomes a little bit more further in, I believe, in the second book. I don't remember the books too well, even though I only read them like last year. But they make him into a special and make like him be the one who like tracks her down and goes with all the other specials to like fuck her up and stuff. And that's something that's not in the book that people, I guess, didn't like. Whatever.
That sounds like a Hunger Games pull where like PETA halfway through gets taken into the bad guy's side and he basically gets brainwashed to go against Katniss. And it's very like, oh,
does he never come back in the books?
He does.
Oh,
it's just
way
that's a plot line though. At the end of Catching Fire, they break out and he gets taken by the bad guys, and when he comes back and they save him, he is not the same.
Yeah,
and they like fucked him up on purposely to go after Katniss and like mess with her and whatnot. It's kind of sounds like that kind of
I thought you were
thing.
saying that as like it was a big negative thing, because in this it is
just
a big negative thing, but in that it was cool.
That's
but
what
I thought you were saying in the books that it like he was bad way more.
No. And that sounds like whoever made that adaptation looked at that and almost was like, that's a good idea.
Well,
that's not bad. We could do it.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This kind of goes into more of my other points. Is this movie feels like The Hunger Games. It feels like The Maze Runner. It feels like Divergent. And when did all those movies come out? 10, 15 years ago? Probably at the beginning. 10
young adult novel like
boom
that we had at that time.
Yeah, the dystopian. Yeah, not the books. I mean, all the movies.
Yeah.
But it's all within like a decade of each other, and it was all like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. This movie, if this movie would have came out 10, 15 years ago, I think it probably would have been popular. If it was within the craze of everything like that. Because I think this movie's better than like anything after the first Divergent movie and anything after the first Maze Runner movie, and I don't think people will agree with me on those.
Well, they did, but those were like multiple Maze Runner movies, multiple Divergent movies, Hunger Games is the bit,
that's
like the biggest. That's the biggest that kind of started all of those others.
That one's like actually,
we could do that.
Yeah,
too.
and that one's like actually
good.
Really,
I still love the Hunger Games. So
the first Maze Runner I thought was cool as fuck.
I remember being like, I
remember being like, this is so trippy. What is going to happen here? And then they get out in the world and they like fight zombies and like that was all I remember from the second one.
A large just similarity between a lot of those books at times and those obviously the movies if they're adapting, but that like lone person who goes in and it's a world that exists and everyone thinks they know how it is, but then they bust out and there's a resistance movement to go against it. It's like that's like all of them. It feels like to some extent, but
Maze Runner is kind of the opposite. It's like the resistance busting into society and seeing how fucked up society is because in like Hunger Games they go and find District 13 in Uglies they go out and find the smoke. Divergent I don't even remember what the hell that movie's about really. I just remember them being kind of weird and then the girl cut her hair and I was like, oh, you're not as hot, and I was like 14.
Have you heard of Red Rising, the book?
Yes,
that's the one. Like Tanner's read it, my sister's read it, I've had people trying to tell me to read it and I started it. I just never finished books like I should. I'll come back to it, but very similar. The book starts super normal, quote unquote. This guy just knows how his life is and is like, life's great, until a moment happens that shows him, oh my God, everything I know is actually a lie. And then he has to bust out and become
Truman Show-esque?
Not Truman Show. That's more like, that's like an existential almost type of thing where it's like, it's not like that. It's not the outside looking in. It's just like this dude didn't realize how deep rooted the higher powers and governments are. And like he busts out of this, it's hard to say. Like he's a red, everyone's color coded, kind of like how there's uglies and pretties. And this, everyone's a red, or there's golds, or there's blues. It has to do with your profession and what you do. He's like a miner on Mars, I think. So it's like space travel is already happening. It's way in the future. But yeah, he ends up coming to a point where his wife kind of shows him this place in their little hometown that he's never seen that shows like life in a way he didn't think was possible. And then she goes as far to be like, it's not even close to what you think. This is so much bigger. And then it goes into him. He's kind of the martyr for a generation of people to now change the mindset to not just become brainwashed and go into a society. So that's just the first couple chapters. And I already know everyone's like, it gets so much crazier, so much better. That's just that is the tipping point to just start the story. But so many books like that. Like there's just so many. There's so many.
Yeah.
And I think that's why when I read Dune, at least Dune was such a like, it's obviously from the 60s, I think.
It's
but
60s,
as someone
50s
who
or 60s.
didn't read it and wasn't growing up reading it and only got to know it because of the movies coming out recently, it was such a good read to be like, oh, it's nice to have stories that are at times heady enough to be like dealing with politics and like talking about big factions of families and people and all these things in different ways,
unique, crazy, deep world building,
like super out there and
very very sci-fi.
I just know that the older I get, the more I'm into sci-fi, and I always have been. I'm just learning what exactly I like more and more.
Yeah.
And it's that Dune nailed it perfectly. Just like it's not grounded, but it feels like it was filmed grounded, like in the sense of it feels like someone literally has a camera taking these shots and they're just shooting what's happening in the world of Dune. It does not feel recreated for a set. It's like, I don't know how you can get that for everything else in the world, but I would love to have that.
Get Denis Villeneuve on it.
I mean,
just have him direct.
Did you watch Blade Runner yet?
No.
That's
one I need. Dude, I brought
2049.
I brought a notepad to take notes, and I don't have a pen.
God damn.
So I was like,
one part of the two.
I stole it from work. I was going to write it down. I wanted to write down because I had a little list of the things that I watched, and I forgot what one of them was, but I have the other.
Well, I
got enough. We don't even have enough time to go. We're talk about all of them. But
well, and yeah, exactly.
Long story short, Uglies is fine.
Yeah,
that's it.
Sounds about fine.
It was fine.
I might give it a watch. You never know. Okay, I won't.
I won't.
It's
not a recommend. It's definitely not a recommend. I did not have a bad time watching it. I thought it was fun, and I think that is.
And you read the books.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
I have a very hard connection to the books and nostalgia.
Anyone who's read the book of said movie coming out, you'll watch it no matter what, and you'll enjoy it more than anyone else who didn't, because you can at least
hate it more.
I think you'll watch it though and actually get more out of it because you can compare and contrast so much better than what anyone else can.
I'm just sad because it's the Lord of the Rings thing where now I'm not going to get to see the other movies get made, most likely.
Well, Maybe it was for the best.
It's fine. Again, it's not something I was clamoring for.
I watched, I think it was the day after we did this last week. I went home and I just hopped on HBO or Max. I will never call it Max.
Just call it HBO.
I always call it HBO.
Yeah,
so
I'm always going to call Twitter.
Yeah, same. I've never called it the other thing. It feels weird.
Not once, not now.
And I watched, I think it just got put onto there, Civil War.
Oh, good shit. Because I watched Civil War when it got put on there.
I would give it like a solid, after a first watch, it's like a 3.5 to a 4-star. And I was actually more surprised by how much I liked it because I went in, I remember seeing the trailers, and the initial gut reaction from the trailers was like, I really don't want to sit down and get force-fed some agenda for whatever they're trying to put out.
That's really what it seemed like from the trailers.
It's
weird.
called Civil War. Like, it's in the name, and the trailer alludes to being like heavy political implications that we're going to be dealing with. But funny enough, you don't really get
almost
any of that.
Almost
like
none.
Everything in the trailer is the most of everything they talk about politics-wise. You get it. And I was
A24, right?
Yeah. I was really surprised by how moderate it was. You got a little bit of both sides in this like fictional civil war of people fighting for what they believe.
It was ironically not.
It was a war movie. It was like a straight up war movie, watching the journalists and the people be in the front lines with people, and like kind of the craziness that is wartime in a modern setting. And this is what it could look like if this happened on our doorstep tomorrow.
What was the most unrealistic thing is that California and Texas.
Yeah, the actual Western forces being California and Texas is not easy to believe, but I can get on the side of two dominant states within our country who have the most population to say, like, if we can get together and talk about this, we could make a play. But even in the movie, I like that they say it. There's one person or something that's said where they're like, even if they win, they're going to be at each other's throats as soon as the president's out.
Yeah, it never ends.
And it's so true. It's like, okay,
this is why you should watch Attack on Titan.
Yeah, well,
I'm not
I
gonna
know.
say any more than that.
I know. I need to. So, but I was pretty impressed by actually like sitting back and just kind of enjoying it and not thinking it was gonna be as intense as it was. It's very intense.
It is very intense. Like
super intense.
So after talking about Hereditary last week and now watching Civil War, which I just forgot to bring up, obviously, until you watched it and all this, because I watched this probably like a month ago or so.
Did you see it in theaters or?
No, I saw it. I watched it on HBO.
Okay.
A24 knows how to make a fucking movie and a scene, knows how to make you feel stuff. Because this is another movie, it's just a lower budget version of it. But like with Dune 2, it doesn't feel like you're in a movie. It doesn't feel like you're in sets. It feels like you were watching a fucked up video on the internet. Like when they're in that firefight with the people down on the ground and the people up on the balcony, and that one guy gets shot and is like bleeding out, and they're just sitting there just taking pictures right in their face, and there's all these bullets just flying by them. Yeah. And I'm like, this feels like a real war video that I would see on Twitter or just on some fucked up internet thing.
They did super good with the quick cuts of in the action real time, and then they hit you with the pictures that they're taking.
Yeah.
And there's really good pictures that like they got. Obviously they're fake, they're manufactured for the movie, but they're really good pictures to portray. You've seen something like this in your own lifetime. The one I know that comes to mind is like, well, the main character being Kirsten Dunst's character. I think her name's Lee.
Yeah.
There's the dude who plays Pablo Escobar, but I don't know his real name in the Netflix show, and he's just kind of a crazy. I really like his character actually because they show him he's a happy-go-lucky. He tries his best to act like nothing actually happens in the scenarios they're in because he has to disconnect when he's in this profession. Like you can't have empathy or sympathy for the people really, otherwise you're not going to make it.
That's like, the whole beginning of it.
The girl tells her like, if you want to keep doing this, you need to shut that off. You're like, all that kind of stuff has to go away. You're giving this to the people so they can feel like that. Someone has to do the job that is unbiased and a moderate neutral to just take that photo and then let the world decide what they want to decide with it.
Yeah, your job is to get the news out.
And I was like, I like that. I like that they say that because that should be what journalism is, hopefully, is the idea of whatever you think. Like, I know watching, like, it's a good movie to watch because you sit there and you're like, how could you just be standing there and not help? But we have people who are in real war who are dedicated to be photographers and filmographers who are
Horrifying.
recounting
Psychopaths.
just because we need the history of someone to say that this happened. And like, we still have plenty of people from the Vietnam War who, you know, like the repercussions of coming back from a war where American soldiers saw other American soldiers taking countless innocent lives because of what the propaganda was being said is we're here to do a job. We're doing our job. But it's like, you take it this far, this is what can happen. And like, it's the first scene that hits you hard is like, they go up and a big riot is happening. Kind of what feels like, it's sad to say, but like something anyone has probably seen on the news in America at any time. Like the instigations of a riot starting.
Not a bomb. The bomb's crazier.
And then a freaking bomb going off in the midst of it. And the girl only gets saved because
she got smacked.
Because she was able to get her out of there. And she's like, let's go get a breather. Pulls her away. Bomb goes off. And then you get a nasty, quick, like a few minutes of decompression where the girl, you're in her POV, shell shock, ears ringing.
Yep.
Don't know what's going on. She's trying to gain her wits and everything, her senses, and already the main lead, she's already literally on top of bodies, just taking pictures. There's people like still moving around halfway with their limbs gone, and she's just taking pictures, and you're like, whoa. It's like, it's silent. There's no music. You're in the heat of it, and it's just, you see like 20, 25, 30 bodies at least on the ground, just blown to bits, and you're like, oh man, this is
and that
tough.
I don't know if this is what happens then makes the younger girl cry in the car, but when they stop at the gas station and they have the guys hanging in the car wash,
yes,
and he like asks her whether or not
he
should kill him or
she's
whatever.
She's so scared she never takes a picture, and so as soon as she gets in the car, she's like, I couldn't even take a picture.
She starts crying, freaking out. Kirsten Dunst is like, we should have fucking left her. This she's bitch. And then the girl like locks in, and then she's like, all right, now I'm fucked. And Kirsten Dunst is like, oh god, because she sees that. She knows she's Kirsten Dunst is fucked. She knows this girl is gonna.
Well, she knows the girl's committed, and it's like, I don't necessarily want to see you commit to this lifestyle because it's fucked me up. I would say my only gripe with the movie was the ending too, where it just feels like there's I know why they did it, I think, but a harsh character choice that's like, Lee, the main girl, doing what she does at the end is completely unlike her character.
Yeah. Why is this the person that she cares about?
Why is that the one person that she would be willing to risk it all for? I don't know. For the movie's sake, I get it.
Maybe you could see it as her handing off the mantle and she's done.
Yeah.
And she's like, hey, I'm going to save you so that you can continue on and cover this stuff because I'm done.
I guess.
You could see it like that maybe.
And maybe it's like she's getting fucked up in the moment on the way to that. And then she has to kind of re-lock in herself.
Oh, yeah.
She has her own little breakdown going into the White House.
She realizes she's losing it, so she's like, let's give it to the kid.
Maybe that's her moment where she broke down. It's the first time in a while she couldn't control it herself, so she was just like, screw it. Feels wild to say I'm going to throw my life away. If that's the moment. That's where it's like,
maybe that's all she knows, and she doesn't see a different life.
And maybe it was just knowing that, like, it's frustrating just because at the end all I could do was be like, oh, that stupid fucking girl. Why did she have to do that? Like, she's just being stupid and ran out at the one moment.
Yeah, they could have done something a little more.
Like that, I think it was just an aggravating execution where it's like everyone was doing really good in that moment. Everyone was playing their corners right, and and then it
was cool.
All of a sudden, the girl just decides, all right, I'm going to go out by myself and take really long time in the middle of the hallway.
Let's wait for them to shoot at
me. It's like, oh, come on, no, like, don't do it. But again, the movie, it's like legit the last thing that happens, so it's not that bad. And I think it makes sense for the movie to try to hit on a note at the end to be like, whoa, crazy, right? Like, she sacrificed herself. But everything up until that is like, Lee is kind of a dog. She's all no bullshit, all business, getting things done. The Jesse Plemons scene is awesome. Even when it's in the trailer, you don't realize what the actual context of the scene is, where just behind them is a freaking just a hole filled with like hundreds of dead bodies. And you get the nasty shot of when the guy pulls in to save them, the girl she falls into it, and they do a pan out of it's just her by herself in the bodies. It just keeps like zooming out, and it's just more and more and more and more and more and more and more. It's like, Oh, that would be so scary. That would be so terrifying.
And it's that whole scene. They do such a good job at building tension. That whole scene of him standing there, and then he just ices that.
Oh, the first dude gets smoked.
Yeah, was it the Chinese? Was he Chinese?
So he's the second guy.
Oh,
it's the other. I think it's the other guy where he's just like, no, these are our friends. Like the Pablo Escobar dude approaches trying to be like the nice guy. And
you see, there's no like talking out of this.
Yeah, and he was trying to talk his way out, and he's like, no, they're just our friends. It's not a big deal. And he quickly, the Jesse Plemons character is like, this guy's your friend? He's like, yeah, that guy's our friend. Boom, dead.
Yeah,
he's
and
like,
I was like, oh, well,
that's
no
too
talking
bad.
out of this. We're just fucked.
And it establishes the reality of the scenario where immediately everyone is like, okay, this is not a talking moment now. We are on code red. I don't know how we get out of this, but someone has to do something that we can get lucky. Thank God the old dude's still behind with the freaking car. I was pumped when that happened.
I was like, let's go.
He comes in at the perfect moment where you're like, I kind of forgot. I'm like, how did they get out of this?
I totally forgot.
And then he comes hauling in. I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
He's going to get him out of there.
Yeah.
So like done so well. And Jesse, he's Kirsten Dunst and him are married.
No way.
So honestly,
really?
What a lot of people said was they were like, I think he literally just did it for her. I think she asked him like, "Hey, do you want to do a part in this movie?" And he was like, "All right, for you, sure, why not?" Dude ends up becoming probably the most recognizable character from the movie.
He's like the GOAT secondary character.
He's super good.
Yeah, he's the GOAT second. Like the library closes in like
in 30.
Yeah, but he's the GOAT character to show up just randomly in a movie and play like a side character. Or even not a side character, like a less than a side character.
I already knew, at least if any, like anyone who knows Breaking Bad knew who this guy was, where he came in as one of the most menacing, yet he looks innocent. He has like a baby face in Breaking Bad. He's pretty young looking still, and he just looks like a nice guy. And then you get to know his character, and you realize how well casted he is because he looks so nice, and he can play off a mask of just like no emotion, and he's like terrifying. He's legitimately terrifying, and I do not know how he's able to do what he's able to do in those moments where he can be so menacing. It like scares me because I'm like, how do you access that part unless you know how to do, like, unless you've had moments like that?
So, Speak No Evil. That's the James McAvoy.
Oh yeah,
it's not a horror movie. Apparently it's very
thriller.
Yeah, it's very thriller.
I think.
I forgot who said they. Yeah, I know Grant and Jacob Lionel, I think both went and saw them.
Yeah.
And they said how good that movie was, and everybody's been talking about in the reviews that I've watched of it too, is that James McAvoy is so good at being just an absolute psychopath. And we're all talking, we're like, he's got to like actually be a psycho.
He's like
he's too good at these.
There's people where I'm like, you err on that side of you're accessing a part that you know how to access almost.
Heath Ledger.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey's like that one's too real.
That's a scary one. Yeah. That's a really real to life. Like as soon as everyone heard about all this stuff, we're all like, oh, every character. Every character is tarnished.
Apparently acquitted. Nothing's wrong. He's back in acting. It's just like it's crazy. It's like Deshaun Watson getting back in the NFL with having 20 rape allegations.
And he's
like
getting
20, man.
He's getting paid 20? Like $200 million to have these allegations.
20 is not like, oh, you had one girl and maybe her friend that came out on you, and maybe you didn't do anything. You had 20.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Spacey like molested or like sexually harassed
so many
dozens
little boys.
Of little boys. Like, oh my God, man!
All the little tykes out there were just getting wrecked by him.
Oh God!
All the young Hollywood studs that were just trying to make a name for themselves.
Yeah. You thought it was only girls, but Kevin Spacey was taking care of the boys.
That's got to be the part that makes no sense. Not no sense, but just like the really gross aspect of like, why is it pedophilia? Why is it always the old and the young? That's so disgusting. Like the power moves and the power plays you have and the manipulation levels you have, knowing when you're like, it's disgusting. It's like so weird to me. I don't get it.
But why so young? Like, I don't know. I wonder.
Grooming.
It seems like it's a real thing in I'm not Hollywood elites, but elites in general. And it's like the Epstein. We're not going to go deep into this, but just all that it's just crazy.
Yeah, just knowing that like I never put any of the people we talk about in any movie on a pedestal because I'm smart enough, hopefully, to know that these people are all fucking weirdos.
Yeah,
in reality, and like just like everyone is to their own extent. It's like Same thing with like music. And like separating the art from the artist, no matter what you think, it's like I like
Michael Jackson's music is great.
I like to separate, like he's the king of pop. You'll never, sorry, well, him and Randy Jackson, but that's neither here nor there. But like, yeah, to separate those things is crucial because it's like every single actor, actress, musician, whoever you like in entertainment, they've done something that's weird or in your head weird, and you don't like it. That's okay. That's called life and being humans. Nobody is going to do everything right. And to actually put them on the pedestal and say that you look up to them is a different thing. Because like
Kevin Spacey is a great actor, but he is a fucking pedophile.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's been acquitted. I mean, there's just too much. There's too much around him.
No, exactly.
I'm not buying it.
No, exactly. There's no way, not like all of it just goes away too. It's like, that's where the money comes in to be like, you're that high up, you're that have much money, you get away with it.
Yeah.
Like, dang, that's crazy.
And it's just weird. Like it's like when people follow celebrity relationships and they're like, "Oh my God, they broke up." You're like, "Yes, they all break up. They all get married for a month.
There's only so many.
They all there's like 2 of them that have not
that actually last and try to stay committed."
I guess that is part of what would be exciting of following it because there's always something that's going to happen.
Yeah,
and that's why it happens with celebrities because I think they're like, oh, this is kind of stagnant. Let's get
It's
rid
like
of
reality
this.
TV. People will sit and watch reality TV
scripts.
because we know, even though we know
Actually,
it's like it's fake, but at the same time, it's really fun to watch other people make a fool of themselves because it makes us feel better.
Yeah,
that's a human nature.
yeah.
So it'll always last. There'll always be an avenue for people to be like, "Oh, did you see Ben Affleck's with so and so?" And it's like,
I don't care.
yeah, I guess,
I could not
but
give less of a shit.
I don't
See, they got together. I'm like, no, I don't care. I just the only one that I really knew of and kind of cared about and paid attention to was Tom Holland and Zendaya, and that was just because I saw them in Spider-Man. That's the only reason I even knew that or even was invested because I was invested in their characters on screen.
And Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons only knew because of watching the movie and people talking about the fact that he's even in it had to have been her being like, "Come on, just come along with me and do a cameo or
Good
something."
for him.
But
She looks good.
How sick would it be to just fucking you get to just come into a movie and like direct if you're that good, directors are like, "Oh yeah, you can and you get a paycheck for that, dude.
Yeah.
You get a freaking paycheck. Come
thousands
on,
and thousands.
that's
of dollars.
so sick. Oh, to be. I wish I was on that list of people.
I know that because you're not too famous.
Yeah,
you're not too busy.
He's at that
You're making
sweet
great
spot.
money. You're not like probably he's got millions, but
he's got it.
he's probably he's not like crazy insane rich. He's got a good amount of money. He's not too famous to where he can't like walk in public.
Yeah, he just looks like Matt Damon, but he isn't Matt Damon.
Yeah. He's definitely not Matt Damon.
So,
all right, well,
probably got to finish it up.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up so I make sure that I can get this thing exported before the library kicks us out. But yeah, I don't got anything else to say. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. Give me a like, subscribe, check out the other videos. No feedback. Thanks.
Never. No feedback. Thanks.